Hey there, folks, and well, this is going to be a big general notice. Got quite a few things to cover, but also this is potentially one of the last times, if not the last time, I'm going to be recording a video in this setting. I know I've been speaking about moving for the last few weeks, but yeah, it looks like it's finally happening. So this place where I started this journey a decade ago might not be the setting much longer. But let's get into it then. Got a week's worth of videos to cover, as well as 3 different articles I want to take a dive into. So without further ado, in terms of videos this week, we've got the Rally Silesia preview, followed by a preview of the BTCC at Brands Hatch, the finales for the European Rally Championship and the British Touring Car Championship. Then I'm hoping to be able to give you a review for the Le Mans Ultimate Cota content. I know they've just upgraded the pricing, so it's slightly more expensive to have it now. Then I'm going to do a review for the Fuji 6 hours. I'm currently about 2/3 of my way through the review of that at the moment, before reviewing ERC finale, then the BTCC finale before the next general notice on October the 8th. In terms of stream for this week, it's going to be Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge, Great Britain. After Donington Park, I took a week off for Lincoln Park from Zero Shirt. It was a fantastic time. And it'll be Silverstone. Then I think they have a week off. Anyways, I said I've got a couple of articles to get into, and let's get into the first one from the world of Formula 1. And that news is the news that Daniel Ricciardo is out at RB. It's been a big story in F1 that Honey Badger is being replaced by a quick Kiwi in Liam Lawson. It's been something rumoured since around the end of the summer break, but it was apparently sealed by Baku. According to the article that I've linked down below from the race, Liam Lawson got given the heads up about 2 weeks prior to the announcement. He was going to be the second driver in the RB, making him the 23rd different F1 driver this season, and meaning that my prediction that there would be exactly 22 drivers was wrong. So, thank you, Helmut Marko. Not. I mean, you could see it in Ricciardo's demeanour in Singapore, which is apparently around the time he was told. How he handled the interviews and how he behaved through the course of the race day. Very emotional, and I say I shed a tear over it as well. I think the main questions are why they did it, what their reasons are to do it like this, and what is next for one of F1's most popular drivers in probably even in history, I'd say. First question, well, it's a long story, but it all has to do with Helmut Marko. Lawson was supposedly to become a free agent if he wasn't announced for one of the 4 Red Bull seats by the end of September. Conventional wisdom said this was meant to be for 2025, but it could have meant a deal to drive then. On top of this, second Red Bull team is currently in a battle with Haas in the Manufacturers' Championship, with only 3 points separating them with the last handful of races left to go. Which leads to the third aspect, which is where I'm speculating. The team must also have the data that compares Lawson directly to Ricciardo, especially since 3 of the last 4 races are ones where Lawson subbed in for Ricciardo last year. And since we've basically answered the first 2 questions in that, here's a third. What could happen for Ricciardo? I mean, from a PR point, it'd be silly for Red Bull to cut ties with Ricciardo. But then this is Red Bull, a company that has a long history of strange PR, which includes them seemingly sponsoring half the junior Formula grids and owning a large portion of the WRC. I'd love to see Ricciardo continue racing. And if Red Bull were willing to provide a sponsorship, given how much of a media asset he is, he could have a wealth of different appearances. But could he go to INDYCAR? Or Formula E? He could for sure, but the series are known by F1 fans, this, well, arguably falsely as well, as a school of rejects, don't look like the kind of series that would appeal to Ricciardo. I don't think single seats are really going to be the place that he ends up. Likewise, I don't really see him in sports cars. There's a particular class of driver that does well in that atmosphere, and whilst Ricciardo would be a success, I don't see him fitting in like someone like Jenson Button does. I honestly think the best place for him is in tin tops, but not GT. I think either his native supercar series or, more likely, NASCAR. Big fan of the sport, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ricciardo went the way of Montoya. And of course, we've also seen Kimi Raikkonen and Daniel Kvyat have a go at trying out NASCAR in the past couple of years. Plus, Red Bull have a growing presence in NASCAR. Shane van Gisbergen will be full-time in Cup next year, having had a great run in Xfinity this year that's got him into the playoffs. Part of this is wishful thinking, sure, but I'd love to see Daniel at Daytona next year, or maybe Cota. And speaking of stateside, let's keep it over in the States for the next 2 articles. And we're starting off with Michael Andretti phasing out his INDYCAR involvement. Andretti has stepped back from his role in Andretti Global, the INDYCAR organisation set his eyes on F1. In the meantime, the leader will be Group 1001 CEO Dan Torres. Now, Group 1001 has a number of brands under its banner, chief among these being Gamebridge, which brings massive sponsorship to Andretti's INDYCAR team, as well as Spire Motorsports and NASCAR, which fueled rumours of Andretti potentially going across to NASCAR. What this means, the outfit's future is unclear. Jeff Olson points out that Andretti has also been named as part of the Andretti acquisition core 2 that Zach Brown is also named as involved with. Perhaps to do with United Autosport or the wider Andretti group itself. But either way, it's not the biggest INDYCAR news of the week. That is the fact that INDYCAR has announced its charter deal for 2025, with 25 charters handed out amongst existing teams, meaning Paul Prema doesn't have any when it arrives in the series next season. But a maximum 25 charters also meant a maximum of 3 charters per team, forcing Chip Ganassi to potentially scale back from 5 full-time entries. However, whilst this guarantees entry into almost all events, it doesn't for the Indy 500, so a chartered car could still get bumped out. Though the biggest controversy probably comes from the Winner's Circle bonus payment, spread out amongst the top 22 entries at the end of the season from the chartered teams. This is a sort of anti-dilution fund in a way, making the teams benefit from an increased pot as a reward for being the first in without a barrier to entry for the new teams. Unlike in F1 where a new team could join, but pay either $200 million up to this point, or even up to what's rumoured to be about $600 million now. Charters are very much a thing in modern day sports, and you can blame the American franchise model for it. The NFL and the MLS are arguably the two most well known over here in Europe. But you can also blame Bernie Eccleston for it, which is where I'm going to go. And that's because F1 brought in the 26 car grid limit decades ago, and whilst they found ways to enforce it outside of the 107% rule, over the years to boot. Whilst other series followed suit, the BTCC has TBLs which are limited to 30 teams. It seems odd that a series like INDYCAR would do this, as there's a demand to expand and extend further. But then WEC did end LMP2 so they could get the GT3s and the hypercars in. But anyway, that's that for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on any of these things that I've spoken about in the comment section down below. And I hope to see you around for some of the videos I've got coming out over the next week or so. If you're new here, or if you're coming from one of my more recent videos, thank you so much for having done that. I know the WRC one is continuing to do really well in terms of the review, and it's great to see so much engagement in that. I haven't seen that kind of engagement with a lot of positivity for, I think, over a year at this point. But until then, it's bye for now.